Please put a hand to our Jewish brothers that are coming all the way from Brooklyn.
With the help of the Almighty, I pray to the Almighty to bestow upon me His truth, His wisdom, that I may convey His truth and so sanctify His name, and inshallah bring peace to the world, peace amongst us all. Assalamu alaikum. Firstly, I have to say that we come here, our hearts are already moved. It is hard to speak. We're speaking first in a place, in a community, in front of the distinguished mayor, in front of the distinguished assemblymen, the people of the community here who have the courage to step out and speak out and show their love, their warmth for fellow United States citizens, for fellow human beings, creations of God, and that our hearts are all together. This is something that has to be lauded, and although I'm not the proper person to express this appreciation and the thanks for this, but I will humbly give over, at least from my heart and from my fellow Jewish people, and I'm sure from all your hearts, our appreciation for the mayor and the distinguished mayor and the township and all the assemblymen and the people of the township who allow this to happen. God bless them all. I am here, again, not in my voice, I'm not speaking in my name. I'm here as a representative of the people of the Jewish nation, of the Jewish people who are true to our religion from around the world. I carry with me a letter that was just written by one of our great rabbis in Jerusalem, from Neturei Karta in Jerusalem. I carry along, as I showed the mayor, the letter of the chief rabbi of Palestine from 1947. And we have one message. Our message is that we are Jewish people. We are Jews, which means that we are subservient to God. We have a religion. We have gone through, our religion is 3,000 years old. We have gone through the destruction of the temple around 2,000 years ago that happened in Al-Quds in Jerusalem. And since then we've been wandering as God's will. God is compassionate, we do not question Him, and we believe in Him. But in our wanderings, we've lived in many, many countries throughout the world, from the four corners of the earth. In our last around 1,000 years, we have been many times, unfortunately, ejected, dispelled from lands. We've been tortured. We've gone through many, many sufferings. Maybe it culminated. The last one was by World War II, by the Nazis. In fact, Rabbi Beck, our senior rabbi here, Rabbi Beck is a person who was hidden in a bunker by World War II when the Nazis invaded Hungary. My father escaped from Hungary at the time. His parents were killed in Auschwitz. So we live and breathe. We went of suffering. We feel the suffering deeply in us. We feel the pains of other people who suffer. But I must say that we had many, many times in this history of 1,000 years that the Muslim countries and the Arab countries embraced us. They took us in. We have a distinctly different religion, clearly different, yet we, as Jewish people, without any human rights groups or United Nations, didn't exist then in our history, we were embraced, we were given a safe haven, and we coexisted and flourished, gave out the greatest rabbis from the Arab and Muslim countries, every one of them, including in Palestine. This is a fact of history. And we have rabbis, and even have some of the younger fellows who are 8th generation Palestinian. They can all attest, they can ask their parents, you can ask your parents, how we coexisted. We lived and helped each other. We babysat each other's children. When the parents of our parents had to go to synagogues, who was the ones who babysat the most precious item we have, the children? It was the Arab Muslim neighbors. They were entrusted by us. So you see that the most precious object you can entrust means something. And it means that we don't have a religious conflict. This has nothing to do with a religion. It has nothing to do with something of God's humanity. It has nothing to do with that. Unfortunately, lately we've seen that people have been vilified, the Palestinian people. Many other suffering in the world. We're not ignoring the other suffering. And I'm sure our esteemed mayor is doing for all the other people who are suffering also. But in this case, we were talking about here, the Palestinian people have been terribly vilified and accused of being anti-Semitic because of a movement, as you know. There's a movement called Zionism, which is a transformation from Judaism of serving God into a nationalism, which is totally not what we are all about. We're not a nationalism. So we are here as Jews, as we are required, and I'm a messenger, simple messenger of my brethren in the Holy Land, counted in the chief rabbis of Palestine, who pleaded with the United Nations saying that we are not out, we don't want a national home, we want to be able to coexist and live in peace under the Palestinian rule. This is a fact. This is in the documents of the United Nations in 1947. Our hearts are one thing, to be able to serve God and to be good brothers and sisters with the people of Palestine, to show our appreciation for the people of Palestine. It's more, one of the requirements of the Torah is to show gratitude. It's a requirement. Moses, when he was hidden, when Pharaoh wanted to kill, he did kill the Jewish children. His sister, Moses, and I'm sure you all know the story, his mother and sister hid him in a wicker basket in the water. And after, when God commanded to give the 10 plagues, the first one was blood. God said that Moses should smite the water, it should turn to blood. He said, God, how can I do this? The water hid me. We have to show appreciation. And Jewish people, our youth learns this, that we have to always show, imagine just for water, we should not smite the water to show out. Imagine what we have to show for our fellow human beings, for the Palestinian people. So our hearts cry. We see what is happening today in Gaza. We see the terrible, the last atrocities in this long chain, this link after link of suffering since this last 100 years, when our religion basically has been usurped and falsely represented as a nationalism. It's not us. Our brethren, my brothers and sisters of the Jewish faith in Palestine plead with me constantly to go out there and tell the world, we do not want to take the land of the Palestinians. We want them to have a free Palestine. Our hearts are with you, Palestine. Our hearts are with you, people of Gaza. We feel your suffering. We are all together as to be able to serve God in peace and harmony. And let you know that we have a community right across from here. It's the most religious community in the United States. It's Williamsburg, Brooklyn, right across from Manhattan. You'll see it's not with one Israeli flag there. Not entirely, there isn't. Why? Because we're not a nationalism. We are a religion to serve God, and we can live together. We can live together. We have lived together for these hundreds of years. We will live together, inshallah, in peace and freedom. God should be. I will finish now, but I just want to say that again, we are with you, Palestine. Our hearts are with you, Palestine. God should help, inshallah, a free Palestine soon, and the suffering should end both in Gaza and in the whole of Palestine and around the world. Thank you again.
Thank you.